Gaveling in for our regular meeting of the Osborne School District Governing Board. Good afternoon. My name is Ed Hermes. I'm the president of the Osborne School District Governing Board. We have a lot of esteemed guests today, so without further ado, we're going to go ahead and start with the Pledge of Allegiance, then the Land Acknowledgement Statement, and following by that, the school presentation. I believe we have a student here to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Is that right, Mr. Martin? Hey, if everybody would rise.
Wait, can I do Spanish first? Okay. Yo prometo. Don't worry, I know it. Yo prometo levantar a la bandera de Estados Unidos de América y la república que representa una nación ante Dios indivisible con libertad y justicia para todos. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and which the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with the liberty and justice for all.
That was beautiful. Next, and before I don't go too far, Mr. Martin, next we have our Land Acknowledgement Statement. Arizona is home to 22 tribal nations. Osborne School District is situated on the homelands of the Acoma, O'odham, and Peeposh people. The Osborne School District recognizes the original inhabitants of these lands and recognizes they still reside throughout the city of Phoenix. We recognize their wisdom, impact, and generosity towards us. The Osborne School District is surrounded by the original Salt River canals that were constructed by the ancestral Sonoran people, the Hohokam. These canals created a livelihood for the people and are still in use today. We acknowledge the modern indigenous people that inhabit this area as well as their Sonoran desert ancestors, the Hohokam. Okay, with that, we'll move on to our school presentation.
All right, well, thank you, board, for having us this evening, representing the Cougars. We're very excited to share some of the wonderful things that have been happening on our campus, so thank you for having us tonight.
Thank you.
So today, usually we're all about joy on our campus, and we still love joy, but we wanted to highlight a little something different this year, and we're gonna be highlighting ways that we see growth with our students in all different types of ways, both inside and outside the classroom. And so that's what you'll be hearing about today. So the first one is about our TFA Ignite program. After that, we'll talk through our 21st century programming, and then we will have the wonderful opportunity to see our dance team in action. And so I'd like to also invite Mr. Jose Perez up as well. So we're very excited to talk about the TFA Ignite program at Clarendon. It's been there a couple of years, spearheaded by Mr. Jose Perez himself, a fourth grade dual language teacher at Clarendon. And essentially, it's a program that we have in partnership with Teach for America, in which we have college students who tutor our students 4 days a week.
Ignite was to sort of bring these, help our students who are struggling with their reading, specifically in phonics, and Ignite allows me to do that at an individualized and personalized level. So the Ignite refers to the tutors as fellows, and these fellows are essentially, they're undergrads, they could be graduate students, TFA alumni. So essentially, my job is to basically coach them, mentor them, provide professional development ahead of time to equip them with the necessary tools and resources they need to deliver a phonics lesson, because it's not so easy, it's not easy for anyone just to deliver a phonics lesson. So this year I have 3 specific targeted groups with 3 different levels, and essentially the students, they all get dispersed into their specific groups. They come into my classroom, grab their laptop, headphones, mouse, their specific folder with their packet, and then they connect via Zoom. And they connect with the fellow. And also the cool thing about Ignite is that they recruit fellows, tutors from very diverse backgrounds and also like different academic fields. So like they bring their unique experiences to this fellowship, which is amazing, and the students love working with them one-on-one.
And so it's just a wonderful opportunity, not only for academic growth with our students. He didn't toot his own horn up here, but in the first half of the year, the first group that he had, 10 out of the 12 students met or exceeded their growth on FastBridge, which is wonderful. And so much growth happened that, in fact, those 10 kids had to move out of his group into the next level because they had made so much growth. And so shout out to Mr. Perez for all of his hard work on that. But it's been a wonderful opportunity for our kids, not only academically, but also socially and emotionally. They're able to meet people who are in college and ask questions like, what's a dorm room? Hey, I heard this about college. Is it true? And so it's been wonderful for them to build those relationships over the semester as well.
Is that during school? Is that after school? When is this? When is that the mentoring?
So
And
this happens during our WIN block, What I Need time, which is an intervention and enrichment block that we have Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and it's for 45 minutes on those days. So it does happen during the school day.
okay, got it.
Also, again, we look not only for things inside the classroom to grow our students, but things outside the classroom as well. So you can look at the extensive list of activities, and this isn't even half of them. There's so many, I didn't want to put up 5 different slides for you to see all the different opportunities that we have for our students. But things from STEM, book clubs, cooking clubs, all sorts of interests, and kids come up with like, hey, can we have a club about this? Yes, let's do it. Let's find a sponsor and we can do it. So we want every student to be able to explore their interests as well as, find a place for them on our campus. So next up, one of our new clubs this year is the dance team. And as they were walking in, I asked them, could I join them and do a couple moves? They told me no, but but I would like to welcome Miss Carolina Villacorta up to share a little bit about the dance club this year.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Carolina Villacorta. I have been the school clerk at Clarendon since 2020. But like Mr. Martin said, this is the first year that we've expanded and done a dance team. It is an after-school program, so it could be considered a program or a club, but I like to refer to ourselves as a team. And I say that to our girls every time that we meet. This is the first year that we've started it as a program, and it started in August, and I've wanted to implement it all school year round. So we've done the fall session, the winter session, and now we're on to our spring. And each time it's been such an amazing experience because we've had either the same girls continuing on the team or just having girls feeling motivated and joining each session, each round. So it's been pretty, on my end, inspiring to continue teaching and to continue seeing these girls progress, especially the ones that started with me in the beginning. It started off as something that I've been very interested in about for many years, and then it turned into how can I provide this service to other girls who are probably just as interested or want to learn more, and that's what I'm here for. So we practice proper stretching techniques. We've started, the first session was ballet technique, and then from there we'll talk about jazz, we'll talk about pop, we'll talk about hip hop, and then how we can implement all these steps and all these techniques, and more importantly, how all of these make us feel. A lot of the times we can use this art as an expression, as a form to let any stress out, to let any nervousness, any thoughts that happen even throughout the day, educationally or just with our friends or even home life. It gets us to come together as a team, be there for one another, and support each other. And a lot of the times, every time we meet up, I tell the girls, I expect respect from all of us within each other, for adults, for staff, while we're in school, during school hours, after school. I hold us to a high standard because I know that we're able to be there and able to accomplish that, not only for ourselves individually, but as a team. And so my girls know that I push that a lot, respect for one another, as well as encouraging each other, because I deal with 4th through 6th grade, so it's a mixture of girls, different ages of girls, and being able to encourage one another, no matter the age, no matter the grade, be able to support each other. So like I said, we've done a fall, a spring, a winter, and this is now our spring. So we've had a handful of girls who were able to make it tonight, which is really exciting because we have a performance ready for you. Is that next? Okay. I don't know what's next. Now, would you prefer I don't know which way we should face.
Absolutely. It'll take.
And I don't know if you guys
Sam's on it.
you prefer to stand, or I don't know where I should face.
No, we can come around. That'd be great.
Raina, you're on this side. So I actually had two girls, sorry, before we perform, I had two girls kind of write a little memo of what they wanted to add about what they've gotten out of dance club. I'm going to have one share with us now and then one after our performance. So go ahead, Reina. This is Reina Gomez. She's a fifth grader, and she's going to share with you guys a little bit about her experience being on the club.
Hi, my name is Reina, and I've been in the Clarendon dance team since the beginning of the school. And I have to say, it's been really great, an amazing year filled with memories. I joined because I thought that we were just gonna learn one dance per semester and maybe a couple steps. But soon I realized that it wasn't just that. We were learning different styles of dances, and all that has led up to right now. And I'm just really glad I joined.
Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. Sorry, technical difficulties. Sorry. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Hello, my name is Kylia, and I'm going to talk about why I joined dance. Something I've learned in dance is partnership and my listening skills. The reason I joined dance is because I've always loved dancing since I was little, and it's always been my dream to have a dancing class.
Absolutely. Yes.
And obviously, before we get started with our award ceremonies, we have to let you know that Cougar Pride is nothing to hide. Rawr! All right, and we can go ahead and head into our awards part of today. All right, first up, can we go ahead and call up Ana Salcedo? Ana is simply the best, and I think her nomination, says it all. I believe Miss Ana is an integral part of our Clarendon community. She has helped our school keep afloat through the ups and downs throughout the years. She has done every favor with a smile. She is very well at handling difficult situations with ease and makes everyone feel heard. Her interactions with the students always make them feel welcome. Miss Ana has often stepped up to handle multiple roles when other staff are absent, including the nurse, and does it with ease. For this and many more reasons, I believe Miss Ana deserves to be recognized as a Clarendon Spread Love Award recipient. We are so thankful for Miss Ana for these reasons and so many more. Thank you for all you do for Clarendon and helping me keep my head on my head. Sorry, this was for integrity, and she has lots of them.
Thank you.
All right, next up, can we have Alicia Edsity? Miss Edsity here is a 5th grade teacher at Clarendon. And Miss Edsity is the poster child of growth on Clarendon's campus. Starting out as a resident teacher through our AZTR NAU partnership, Edsity has jumped in headfirst as a 5th grade teacher. We were fortunate enough to be able to make her a full-time Cougar this year. Yes. And she has continued to bless our campus. She has built strong relationships with her students through her calm demeanor and consistent expectations. It has been wonderful to see her continue to grow as an educator, implementing things that she's learned over the past 2 years, as well as experimenting and finding out what fits right for both herself as an educator and her students. She cares deeply, and she consistently puts her students first and continues to grow for her students. We love Mrs. Edsity and look forward to continuing to see her grow for years to come.
Yeah.
All right, next up, can we have Mr. Jose Perez to come up?
Double duty.
He is receiving this award for relationships. Jose is a child whisperer to 4th graders across Clarendon's campus. Mr. Perez cannot walk in space without at least 2 or 3 kids either calling his name or running up to him. He listens to their stories, engages with them, and makes them feel important. He has also been known to sacrifice his lunch to play soccer with his students. You'll see him out there on the field if you drive by. Former students still talk about good times in his classroom and love catching up with him even 2 years after having him as an educator. In addition, he has built strong relationships with his colleagues by stepping up and leading their team meetings in the absence of their team lead, sharing his learnings from different professional developments with his team, and bringing his competitive nature to ensure 4th grade reigns supreme as the best team alive. His words, not mine. Jose has stepped up as a leader on campus, from spearheading the Ignite program to co-leading the 21st Century program after school. And he continues to build strong relationships through all of these avenues. So give it up for Mr. Perez. Next up, can we have Miss Lindsay Boutier? Lindsay is a force. That's all. Miss B has been an incredible example of ensuring equity for her students and ensuring that they obtain an equitable education by advocating for their needs. She is known to stop you in your tracks to talk about the progress of her students, are making or concerns she might have. Literally, this happens. I can hear it across campus. Mr. Martin, I'm like, oh no, but in the best, but it's in the best way possible because I know it's gonna lift our kids even higher. She's always looking for ways to improve in order to meet the needs of her students. She has spent hours sitting down, analyzing student data, delving through data to identify where her students need and how she could get her students what they need to reach even higher heights. We are thankful for Ms. Boutier and look forward to all that she continues to accomplish. So. And last but not least, Miss Carolina Villacorta. Woo! I'm not sure if y'all could hear it, but her little baby was cheering on the dance team as well. Carolina is our attendance clerk at our school as well. Carolina brings so much joy to our Cougar campus. Her face is literally the first face that families see when they walk through the door. From there, she greets students by name and with a smile as some come in late from a hectic morning. She shares her infectious laugh with families as they come in or staff members as they pass through. It is known across campus if you're having a rough day, stop by and Carolina will help with that. In addition, another way she has sparked joy is through her creation of the Cougar Dance Team. Using her expertise as a professional dancer, Carolina has provided another creative outlet for our Cougars. Although she refuses to give me dance lessons, I am so glad that she is sharing her love of dance with our students and spreading joy throughout our campus in so many ways. Give it up for Miss Carolina. And can we give it up one more time for all of our Spread Love Award recipients?
Any questions for Mr. Martin? No. Thank you so much. It is so wonderful to see the team. Don't leave yet. I know we're going to get photos in a little bit, so nobody leave yet. We'll circle back to that, but first I'll kick to you, Dr. Robert. Anything else for our district celebrations?
Yes, we do have a few more celebrations. Thank you, Mr. Martin, and all of Clarendon for being here. It was fantastic. Loved seeing you guys perform. A few things that have happened are coming up and just things that we want to celebrate. First, opportunity for Osborne to be out in the community. This past week, we had board members, we had administrators, we had teachers from schools representing Osborne School District out at the Willow Home Tour. Just a way of getting out the word of what we're doing in Osborne, an opportunity for interested families to learn more about our programs, as well as interested adults that may be interested in working within an amazing school district to be exposed to the Osborne School District. If you have been out and seen us at other types of things like this, we've got a much more professional look. Gotta give great thanks to Mr. Stacy, who's doing such an amazing job in promoting our district.
Yes.
He really took the lead in doing a lot of organizing. Lisa's also been doing a wonderful job with organizing this, but really got to give it up to Brendan for really stepping up our game and helping us with a much more professional look as we're out presenting ourselves to the community. We'll have another opportunity coming up in just 3 Sundays from now. Time is flying. The first Saturday, the second. First Saturday in March, it's March 2nd, will be the Melrose Street Fair. This is a wonderful opportunity because it's right here in the heart of Osborne. And if there's something big going on, we've got to be out there representing our district. So I'm looking forward to us being out there. Second celebration is really just a shout out to the Osborne School District Educational Foundation and lots of things that they make possible for us here within the district. All staff members, you have until Friday to submit your mini grant proposals. The foundation, if you remember, there are different opportunities for awards. There's mini grants, and then there are the requests for funds. So the mini grants used to be $300 awards for staff to do a small project. They upped it to a $500 mini grant. So you've got until this Friday to submit for your mini grants. Coming up super soon are going to be the requests for proposal. Again, open to anyone in the district to apply. But those are those things bigger than $500. We've seen some awards in the thousands, up to $5,000, $7,000. It never hurts to ask. So get your grant writing skills. And how many of you in the room have successfully written a request for funding, or not request for funding, a mini grant proposal? Hands up. How many of you at home, even though we won't be able to see, if you're at home and you're watching, if you've written a mini grant proposal, raise your hand. There are lots of people, if you're thinking about writing one and don't know how to do it, there are lots of people that were raising their hands that will be happy to share with you successful grant writing techniques that they've had. The foundation also has done for, I think this is the third year or fourth year, where during Valentine's Week, they showed appreciation to our staff by coming around. Basically, they put out orders, and you could order a coffee drink. They had the traveling cup bring their food truck or their drink truck to each of the schools, including the district office. And they hand-delivered drinks, whatever folks wanted to have. Every school had their day, and the foundation members came and hand-delivered. So that was a wonderful treat. And the last amazing thing that the foundation does in some of these larger grants, the requests for funding, one of them is Miss Artea here?
Ahí.
Miss Artea is here, and she's done a lot of grant writing over the years. One of them that she did was writing a grant for dual language teachers. She's done this over the past few years to attend the La Cosecha dual language conference in New Mexico. So when Monica was there with a couple other teachers in the district, they saw 2016 Latin Grammy Award-winning duo 123 Andres, 123 Andres, perform, and it was a long session. They were like, oh, these guys are amazing. I wish our kids could see them. So she started writing another grant. And this past week, we had 3 different shows that they did for our students. I gotta say, when I heard that Monica wrote the grant, I wasn't sure what to expect. And when I showed up and I saw what those kids got to experience, it's something they're never gonna forget. It was one of the most amazing 45-minute, some of the teachers, some of the folks were here in this room, saw them perform. It was just one of the coolest things, and it was an absolute celebration. Number one of language and culture and kids seeing that beautiful expression, but it's also a celebration of grant writing and what we can do for our kids by taking that extra little bit of time. It takes time when you guys write those grants, but what it turns into is something beautiful for our children. And we've got to give it up to you guys for writing the grants, but to the Osborne School District Educational Foundation for creating the avenue to make this happen. So that's it for foundation things that they've been doing. And our final celebration, which is probably one of the biggest celebrations that we have, every year we get an opportunity, there's the spring testing that happens, and you take these tests, and then they come out with school labels. And those school labels are a big deal. But they look at something very small, how you do on tests in a spring. There's a second opportunity through the Arizona Educational Foundation. Well, they'll come out and do a comprehensive look at your school. They look at academic performance. They talk to parents. They invite the parents onto campus and say, we want to get you together and hear about the things that are happening at your school. They interview the staff as a whole and in small group parts. They interview the principal. They talk to kids. They come and do a comprehensive look at your campus. It's one of the most grueling things to go through. This look, the application itself, you know, it's like a 70 to 100 page document that you wind up turning in saying, this is what we do, and I think we do a really good job of it. But they come in and they verify that. You can't just say you're doing it. They want to hear it, they want to see it, they want to experience it. And they spend days, they go into every single classroom. So to get the A+ School of Excellence label is a really significant endeavor. And we're happy to announce that Encanto School is being recognized in 2024 as an A+ School of Excellence. Woo! Look forward to hearing from Mr. Carranza and staff about when their celebration is going to be on campus. When it happens, you'll all be invited.
Looking forward to it, and felicidades, congratulations, Principal Carranza. I know I won't say too much, because if I do, you're going to stand up and say, it's my team, it's my team, it's my team, because that's just the kind of person you are, and I know it. You have a wonderful team there, and gracias por todo for the wonderful uno, dos, tres, Andres. My kids were buzzing for, they still are, they're still talking about it, and even when it was announced, the first thing they came home and they said, it's just for kids, Dad, you can't come. No parents allowed. They reiterated that many times. They must have been told that there's no space for you, because they see me on campus every once in a while, you know, sitting in on classes and things like that. So thank you so much. That was wonderful. And thank you to all of our wonderful people from Clarendon, to the award winners. Thank you, gracias, for all of your work. We really, really appreciate it. You're the ones who are making this Osborne School District great with all of your work. So thank you. Don't go anywhere. And Brendan, do you want our wonderful dance team to come take a picture first? Do you want our award recipients after that? Is that what you want to do? Okay, so that's what we'll do. If our dance team could come up, we'll move this again, get a picture with the dance team, and then we'll get a picture with our award recipients. We're going to do a quick recess on the board meeting until we finish up the photos, and then those of you that have school tomorrow, you guys can leave. Okay. We are back in session. So I always love that. It was just so heartwarming to see everybody from Clarendon. On to business. Our next item is the consent agenda. I am going to request that we pull one item off just because I got a question or two. That is item N, as in Nancy, on the consent agenda. If we can just pull that off just for a question or two. Besides that, are there any questions or other items that anyone needs to pull off the consent agenda? Okay, I will just make one comment, then I'll ask for a motion. Quick comment is thank you to Kim Baldwin for donating toys. I saw that in the on the donation side. That is really fortunate. I do not know who Kim Baldwin is, but appreciate the support. And thank you to the foundation again, getting a lot of shout outs today for your support of the 6th grade field trip to the Grand Canyon. I think that is fantastic. And as somebody who used to serve on the foundation board, I reviewed those mini grant applications. I can tell you the foundation just wants to give that money out. So it is awesome. With that and with pulling item N off the agenda, do I have any motions related to the consent agenda?
I move to approve with the pulling of item N.
Okay.
I think that's worded right.
Yep, that is right. And do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it does pass. Our next item, and I suppose we'll take that item from the consent agenda.
Yes, right now.
Right now. Okay, perfect. We'll crank that out. And so I guess I'll start, and if maybe Colleen is around, I don't. Oh, there you are.
Why don't we just read what the item is and the background behind it?
Yep, this is approval of the lease extension with the Phoenix Union High School District, and just I know this has been on the agenda before, and there's something they were there, and this kind of if you could just kind of give us a little bit more background, because I thought they had left already or had already gone. No offense to our big brothers at the Phoenix Union, but I thought they were gone already, So if you could just give us, I don't want to call them a squatter or anything like that, but what's going on with our friends at Phoenix Union?
Yes. So this is the extension of our original lease agreement with Phoenix Union from several years ago. Their construction projects have run into delays as they've been renovating their new district office buildings. And those delays then have run into other delays and other delays. And so there's been a need to extend. There is a delay in getting this to the board as it goes through many tiers between our organization and legal review, as well as their in-house legal counsel review, and working out the details around the lease and around all the terms that go into that and that extension. However, this would be retroactive back to July 1st of this school year, and so it would cover the entire term that they've been in our buildings for this school year. As well as then giving them the authorization they need to release payments to us for rent for this past year that they've been there. They are planning to move out. The schedule right now is that they are moving out starting next week. Their goal is to be out of the complete upstairs, all staff, by March 1st. However, they are waiting for some elevator things to happen in their new building, and once that passes license certification, then they'll be able to complete that move-in. So it could actually extend into the middle of March, but we fully expect by April 1st that we will no longer have Phoenix Union renting over at Montecito. I will just add, they have been really great lessees. As far as renters go, they have been really great. And hopefully they've appreciated the graciousness of us being landlords too.
To go along with that, this motion, although it's been kind of going through legal proceedings to try and get the wording of this down and agreed upon by all parties, your approval of this basically allows us to collect the rent for what's already happened. So we do ask your approval so that we can collect on that. They're going to be moving out, within the next couple weeks. So we do request your retroactive approval on this lease agreement.
And it's not that I don't appreciate our friends at Phoenix Union. I do. I certainly do. And we have some folks who are friends of Phoenix Union here, and I certainly am one of them. It's just that in the beginning, and I was here when they moved in, which was awesome, and it was a short-term thing, and honestly, they're getting a really good deal on rent, and it's they're public school. Like, we want to support our fellow public schools, but this has been going on for quite some time, and had I known maybe this was going to be how long it was going to be, maybe we would have talked more about what that rent amount was. And they're getting a really, really good deal on rent. So maybe just convey, and I hope their construction's doing really well, but maybe just convey at least one board member's thoughts to them of, you guys are really leaving this time, right? And if not, we got to talk about that rent amount if you guys are going to stay longer.
I don't foresee another extension, even if they were in need of it, because we have other facility improvement needs that we need to get in and be able to do in Montecito this coming year, and wanting to kick those off right away. So I don't foresee bringing another extension back to the board.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. With that, I will entertain a motion to approve the lease extension.
I'll motion to approve.
Any second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it does pass. Moving on to call to the public, and I do have a call to the public. Ms. Reynolds and is here, and come on up. And do you want us and I'm happy to do this either way. I know you're here for agenda item reduction of force. Would you like to speak now, or would you like to speak when we get?
I'll speak now.
Okay, perfect.
Thank
you.
All right. I'm here today to talk about employees, the reduction of force, and the use of annual leave time. Recently, there has been increasing concern about the increase in use of annual leave time by teachers and staff. Yet, the district has failed to address the issues that have led to this increase in use. As the board hears about next year's reduction of force, I encourage the district and the board to acknowledge that any reduction of force, necessary or not, increases the workload and stress that employees are faced with. This year, due to a reduction in positions, the number of classes I have has increased, and I have taken on the role of EL teacher as well as honors and general education. In math, teachers have taken on increased class size affected. I was told by my administration over email on January 30th that the district recently changed or reviewed the annual leave policy so that employees must have superintendent approval for annual leave over 5 days. I was told via email that there was also a limit on annual leave time that can be approved for the year. Due to this change in policy, I was denied the use of annual leave for my upcoming honeymoon and will not be paid for that time. I input my request in October of last year and was not made aware of this policy change until January 30th. By then, it was too late to change my plans. 5 unpaid days for me is hundreds of dollars, almost $1,000, and this affects my ability to pay my bills. A change in policy without input from staff also violates Board Policy H, which is our meet and confer policy. This policy was not a board-approved policy, and when I pointed this out, the reason for the denial was changed to this being a use of annual leave as vacation time. Annual leave policy needs to be clarified for employees at the beginning of the year, and it should be clearly posted for employees to reference when making plans for important life events for the year. If we are going to use annual leave as a benefit of employment with the district, or use it as an incentive for employees to sign their contract early as it was used in the past, then employees need to be able to use their annual leave without judgment and without unnecessary roadblocks. We need to treat our school staff as humans and not as workhorses without lives or families. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time as well. Moving on to our next item, administrative report. I'm sorry. Before that, a board presentation, superintendent report on district attestations requested. Dr. Robert.
Yes. Brendan, could you pull up page 70? I know board members have this in their packets right in front of them, but just for everyone that's viewing. So the Arizona Department of Education is responsible for putting out the school report cards. And so there's been an additional attestation that's been requested that administration fill out that will go onto the school report card. Mind you, this attestation is not a mandatory requirement for the school report card. However, it's been clearly stated by the State Superintendent of Public Instruction that failure to answered this attestation will result in large red letters across your school report card stating that you chose not to answer it. So before we answer this, I just wanted to let all of the governing boards see what the 5 questions are. Since this was originally posted for our attention that it needed to be completed, there's been a lot of advocacy work that's been done by our partner organizations. Arizona School Administrators, the Arizona School Boards Association have been working with us on this attestation for an opportunity to not just answer yes or no to these questions, but also, if necessary, to have an open answer opportunity for giving clarification. So I want to go over what the 5 questions are, as well as my intention on the answer that we're going to put for each of these. In our partnership through GuppiMac, that's a Greater Phoenix Educational Management Council, which has actually expanded to districts outside of just the Phoenix area. So we have rural districts from across the state as well, that are part of AZ/GuppiMac. A lot of us superintendents have been sharing with one another our intended answers to this attestation as we're bringing this forward to governing boards. So I want to go through each of these questions as well as let you know what the answer basically to this is, to each of these are. The first attestation, and the focus of this is on academic focus. So the state superintendent is saying that he has gotten input from lots of constituents as to the lack of school districts using instructional time for instruction. So there are some areas that he's asking school districts to attest that they are actually spending school time doing academic standards and not doing other things. The first one of these says the school protects instructional time from excessive distractions labeled as social emotional learning. For starters, there's nothing excessive in meeting a student's need as presented. Because of that, we not only have social emotional learning opportunities, character education in our schools, but we have grants that have been brought to us by the State Department through the school safety grants, where we have applied for social workers. And so our social workers are there for the intent purpose of meeting our students and families' emotional needs so that they're able to be full participants in their education. I would consider nothing of the work that we do excessive. However a student presents to us, we have no choice in what students come to us. Our parents are not just sending us select students. They're sending us everyone in their family. They're sending us their best. And everyone's best has needs, and we're meeting our kids' needs. So when asked the question, does the school protect instructional time from excessive distractions labeled as social emotional learning? It doesn't matter what the label is. We protect our students. We protect instructional time from distractions. Meeting a child's need is not a distraction. The answer to this question is yes. I'll go through this one by one, so if you'd like to comment on anything that I say or give any feedback or constructive feedback that may lead me to answer in a different way, please let me.
I'm completely supportive of answering yes. I think that it's all based on interpretation, right? So as I was going through this, I took some notes, and excessive online, if you look up the definition, is more than is necessary, normal, or desirable. And so I don't interpret our social emotional learning for our students as excessive. We're protecting, taking care of them. And again, like you said, I don't see it as an excessive distraction.
Any other comments before Dr. Bear, I agree. I'm going to ask a couple questions. Some of these are going to be, I don't want to say facetious, but how much money did the Department of Education allocate to our school district for this added administrative burden that we have to do, or that they're asking us to do?
0.
Okay, that's what I thought. And the Department of Education, or at least Superintendent Horn, he's still suing our district for providing approved dual language instruction, offering it to our students in a non-discriminatory way in accordance with what the Department of Education has approved. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. I don't personally, I don't appreciate the additional administrative burdens with clearly, political overtones and loaded whatevers to try to make up a political point. You got a job to do educating these kids. Our whole school has a job to do. I frankly don't appreciate that, this kind of what I see as a political maneuver by a politician when we need to focus on what we do and what we do in a really great way, which is educate these kids. So I'm fine with that answer, what you recommended. I'm also fine leaving all these blanks and just moving on to doing what we do best, which is focusing on our kids and focusing on the mission at hand rather than messing around with what I think are clearly kind of loaded questions. I don't know, that trying to distract us from our core mission.
Agreed on so many fronts. You mentioned, that I have a job to do. Part of that job, though, is outward perception. And although there are certain barriers that are put in our way, that are hurdles we have to jump over, we want to put our best foot forward. I don't appreciate the language about, we're going to make this in big red letters. And, that's kind of a shaming tactic. And I don't appreciate that. Nor do I want folks that turn to the internet for those outward expressions of labels, of the school report card, to see something that puts us in a negative light when I know that we're doing all the right things for kids. So there's a part of me that passive aggressively does not want to answer this attestation, right? But that's not my job to the community. My job to the community is to put our best face forward. And I will. That's why I'm going to answer these and do so respectfully and make our values clear in my explanation.
Are these questions going through litigation at all? Because they're clearly they're not neutral questions. And I mean, if this was to be a research study and these were the questions asked to participants, they would throw the research out, right? Like, so I feel like, in a way, this is supposed to, I know that's not the intention coming from the board, but right, the idea should be that we're giving information to parents about their schools. This is clearly not just an information piece to help inform their decisions. This is, like you said, a political thing. So are you aware of any litigation?
I'm not aware. I am aware of advocacy efforts by groups to looking into what the point of this is, but no litigation.
And then I know that, you talked about how you've talked with other superintendents. Has there been a discussion? I mean, collectively, if we all decide to do, whether it's answering the questions, we're all deciding to answer it in a certain way, or we're all deciding, hey, we're not going to do it. I think just looking to our partner districts, how are we going to collectively move forward, makes a statement regardless of, I guess, how we do that.
Yeah, part of it is examining harm, right? And if there's something that I see as being harmful, then taking a stand to block that harm from coming to our kids. This is taking my time to check boxes and draft a response. I can handle that part. But things like the lawsuit that we're involved in, we're in it fully and putting our whole heart and soul in that, because that will impact kids. This impacts half an hour of my time, so I can do this part. But it's clear that the questions or statements are loaded, and regardless of yes or no, blank or not, there's no indication as to how this is going to be used after the attestation is submitted.
That's kind
which
of
I think
my
is
concern is I can't see this not turning into something very harmful to kids.
That's why, I'm I personally say go to passive aggressive route, but that's just because I'm a little bit, snarky like that. Part of me wants to be like, if I were to answer these, I'd put, do we do this? No. Are you asking private schools the same question? Because everything I see in relation to these questions, what I'm hearing right now in the discourse is we only want public schools to answer these questions. We know private schools aren't doing this, yet they don't ask. The people who form these questions are not asking that. So when I see this, it makes my blood boil because I'm like, we're doing what's right for our kids. Why you're not holding the other side accountable as well? So I personally say go to snarky route, be passive aggressive, but that's just me.
It's Lent, so I'm confessing. I'm confessing that I felt that way, but it doesn't mean that I'm necessarily going to be that way.
True, it is Lent season.
And kind of what my colleague, board member Greenberg said is, I'm a bit concerned because we're dealing with somebody who is out to sue school districts. I'm only just going off of past track record, right? Is
Current
out-
track record.
Current track record, exactly. We're dealing with it, and we're putting our resources there. And so, kind of what board member Greenberg is saying, these are vague, they're ambiguous, they're not defined. And so my concern with putting down an answer is this step one of the superintendent of public instruction's plan to then say, well, you put this answer down, now I'm going to investigate you, and I'm going to use this ambiguous and vague and undefined question terms to try to come after you some more, sue you again. So clearly, because we're currently being sued, my trust level is very low, I think appropriately so. So it makes me nervous when I don't understand these questions are so vague and ambiguous and loaded.
I get you, and I mean no offense in stating it in this way. I've been consulting with other superintendents about how we're going to do it. This isn't on here as an action item; it's an information item. So this is an administrative function that I'm, planning on moving forward in this way. But I appreciate the input. Again, could it be used in a certain way? Possibly so, but my answers are going to be honest representations of what we're doing in the district, and the things that we're doing for our kids. And if we really want to put a school report card out there to inform parents, then it's my job to let them know what I'm doing for their kids.
On the topic of number one, just to have a little bit of that passive aggressiveness, but still remain professional, is it possible to put in there, we don't label it social emotional learning, we label it character development, as referred to by Tom Horn himself? Because he has his whole character study thing, which is literally social emotional learning, but he just doesn't want to call it that. Just to get a little bit of that.
I hear you, I feel you, but these are words that are going to remain on a page as the superintendent's feeling. So I'm gonna choose to not mark myself in that way and give the community. But I hear you and I feel you.
Well, I agree with my colleagues that I wish we just should not respond to this. I think that the bright red letters will call negative attention to our school district. And I think at the end of the day, it's a game that he's playing. And so we just play it and we play it the smart way. So I think that you answering these questions by being honest about what we do, because if you really look at and I know you're going to go through all of them, but there is no rubric on any of these things. So for them to say, excessive or critical race theory, that as we all know is not even a real thing, developmentally appropriate, explicit, like those types of words, like there's no rubric. So the fact that you're going to answer these questions in an honest way, I think shows the character of our school district.
Yeah. Agree, and I appreciate you, Board Member Ramos, for that heart. I appreciate that.
Question 2. The school or district appropriately respects all students as individuals, avoiding concepts like critical race theory that promote racial division. My answer to this question is yes, we respect all students. No explanation on this one. Number 3, this is go for it.
Do we have to say yes or no, or can we just say we respect all students?
I think it's a checkbox, right?
Yeah, it is
There's a checkbox and an open response.
Yeah.
So,
okay, all right.
So, I mean, since these are, I suppose since these are questions are not mandatory, we can do whatever we want.
Correct. So I would think that failure to put a box in even one of these is going to lead to the box. So my big one that's like ambiguous on how to answer, my intention is for 1, 2, 4, and 5 to answer yes. Okay. Number 3 is an interesting one. The school/district fully support teacher discipline recommendations. Discipline is not, when it's talking about, administrative decisions on discipline, that's policy that drives that, not teacher recommendations. So there are 2 parts of this. Fully support teachers, and then there's the part that says support teacher discipline recommendations. Those discipline recommendations cannot be fully supported if they're contrary to district policy.
And I think that's what we answer because
If a teacher recommends that we use corporal punishment, district policy, besides decency, district policy forbids that.
Yep.
And so I can't support that if a teacher made that recommendation. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
no, I was just gonna say, is it possible to put in that policy into that box? That way, it's pretty clear. Because at the end of the day, that sentence is, I mean, when I saw it, I was like, recommendations from who? Like, it doesn't make. Is it from teachers? Is it from his office? Like, who are these recommendations from?
I actually totally read this statement in a totally different way. I read it as how we discipline teachers.
Yeah.
That's how I
Yeah.
read it.
That's how I read it. I was going like,
Was there any clarity on that, or is that? Or
Yeah, that's
okay, because I read it.
I read it the same
totally
way,
different
yeah.
way.
And then is that teacher discipline recommendations coming from the Arizona Department of Education?
well, they have no recommendations. Number one, the department doesn't make that. There's a task force through the State Board of Ed that handles any teacher discipline. So the Arizona Department of Education can't make a recommendation on teacher discipline to me. The State Board of Ed can approve my recommendation of a discipline on an individual. Yeah, so I will seek some clarity on that. Thank you.
That drives the point home. It's not like there's regulations issued, guidance, things like that on these really vague questions that can be read and understood
They're all
different
really
ways.
well worded. It's just number 3 that was
Number 4, the
confusing.
wording on it is horrific.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sexual content taught in we do, however, teach sex ed,
Yeah.
but that's not teaching sexual content.
Right. Is that something that you're recommending to mention or clarify in the
I would,
box or whatever,
yes.
in the
my,
additional notes?
my answer of yes would say the yes that I am responding to is that the district implements policy blank.
Yep.
And the 5th, curriculum at school does not expose students to explicit or graphic content that is developmentally inappropriate. So the answer to that is yes. We do not expose students to explicit or graphic content.
Any other questions? I think I've said everything I had to say on that.
think I just
Board Member
comment on
Peralta.
this. It just feels like the whole time. Is anyone else getting Scarlet Letter vibes from this? Like going back to high school and you're reading Scarlet Letter and it's like we're trying to brand people with a Scarlet Letter. I don't know. That's just me, but I'm just like, this is doesn't. I don't know. That's just all I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like the Scarlet Letter would be the all red, right?
Yeah.
They did
right.
not answer. So I think the steps that you're planning on taking, Dr. Robert, are the smart ones. So
Yeah.
so I support you.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure that I didn't just put this out there without giving you the full opportunity to weigh in your feelings about it.
We appreciate it, and I agree and trust you and appreciate you bringing this up.
And just so you guys know, in terms of alignment, the way I'm going about this is aligned with all the superintendents within Guppy Mac that answered in our collaboration.
Got it. Okay, this was just a discussion item. There's no action on this, but we really appreciate you bringing it forward. Next is administrative reports. And any questions on administrative reports? Board member Greenberg?
I just had that question I sent you yesterday for clarity on, I think it was
Yeah, we
OMS.
had some at the beginning when we returned in January, just some recording issues. We'll get that fixed and
Okay.
brought as a clarification for approval of the minutes.
Perfect.
There was a question that was asked about one school's numbers of students. So it was on the enrollment report.
It was like one number in November, and then it dropped to 30 in December, and then it went back up to the whatever number it was.
Yeah, we didn't have 40
so-
students withdraw and then
And
re-enroll.
then re-enroll.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Sounds good. Okay, moving on. Or just want to say, we always appreciate reading the administrative reports, especially from our schools and departments. It's always so fun to see. Reading the Encanto one and saw board member Ford's little boy on there. That was really fun too. So, okay. So I will move on to action items, and action item A, reduction in force. I'll move it to Dr. Robert.
Yeah, so this first one, the request for a reduction in force, necessary due to the sunset of ESSER 3 funds in September 2024 and the related need to effectuate economies in the district's operations. So only one position is warranting a RIF, and that's at the administrative level of the director of curriculum position.
Questions?
I just have a question. If we approve this and then one day we get more funds and we wanted to bring back this position, does it go through like the same approval process to bring it back, or is it just saying that how does that?
You've already approved
Okay.
that position as a like the job description.
Right.
So we're not eliminating the job description. We wouldn't bring that back, in that way. However, if you have a RIF and then you bring it back, then the individuals that are RIFed have that first right of refusal on that position, for coming back in.
Okay.
So if we were able to come up with the funds for, whether through other grant, not any current grant funding that we have supports the continuation of the position. But if brought back, then yes, there would be formal action on our part in terms of inviting. Well, you would see it in the personnel report, but it wouldn't be a formal action through action items.
Just want to be really clear, because anytime I talking about reductions in force, just, it's a sensitive topic, but just want to be really clear that on this agenda item, the only staff position for this reduction in force is the director of curriculum, correct?
That's being brought to you today, right now, because the reason this is being brought today is because we're examining certified and administrative contracts and those other certificated professionals, your OT, PT, speech, social workers. So we are not doing anything with classified positions at this point. This is just on the certificated and administrative front.
Got
So within those job categories, this is the only reduction in force that we're bringing forward.
Got it. Okay. Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Okay, next action item is recommendation to issue 2024-25 certified teacher contracts.
Dr. Woodland, I apologize if I jumped in and did that last item.
Oh, no, please.
That
Hello.
You bring the joy.
Yeah.
I try. Hello, Governing Board Member, Superintendent Robert, colleagues, guests. I am asking for the Governing Board to approve issuing our 24-25 certified teacher contracts. You will note, however, that we're asking that they be issued at the present rate until our Budget Committee can go through the entire process and determine if there's any additional funds that can be applied. So with your blessing and approval of this, these contracts will be issued as of tomorrow, and they will be due back on March the 12th, which is 15 work days for teachers versus the calendar days that are required. So it's a little bit of extra time, if you will.
That's good. Any questions?
Not a question, but I just do want to continue to bring up that meet and confer is in our policy, and budget committee is not meet and confer. So, you know, by continuing to not engage fully in the process as per our policy, we're in violation of policy. So I know that just, you know, thinking about that moving forward, I don't know, you know, how OEA wants to proceed, how administration wants to proceed. But again, I would like it to go through some form of meet and confer before it comes to us when it comes to salary recommendations later on.
Board member Greenberg agree, and then meet and confer is bigger than just money. Meet and confer is about all policy, anything that affects our teachers or classified staff. I completely agree.
However, I do want board members to feel comfortable about this approval, as the budget committee is explicit in our policy as being part of our meet and confer process. And this recommendation is through that budget committee. So this is, you are making a recommendation that is policy approved.
And my only other comment is I saw some of our board members down in the legislature looking for more funds down there for our teachers and staff. Really appreciate your advocacy down there. I saw board member Ford down there. I saw board member Peralta down there. And I know our other board members, board member Ramos is down there, feels like all the time fighting for our teachers and staff, and board member Greenberg as well. So just really appreciate all the work, and just everybody in the community get out there to tell our elected officials that we need more money for our public schools, because we want to increase that pay for our teachers and staff. So with that, unless there's any other questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Any second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It does pass. Our next action item, don't go anywhere, Dr. Woodland, is recommendation to issue 2024-25 support professionals and administrator contracts.
Thank you. So this particular agenda item will impact our social workers, our psychologists, speech-language pathologist assistants, OTs, as well as their assistants, and psychologists, and then the entire administrative staff. So the recommendation is to approve issuing all of these particular employee types contract tomorrow as well. You will note, however, that psychologists and administrators are provided a 30 calendar day return timeframe as outlined by statute. So as a result, our contract types will be due on March the 21st, and then the others will be due within the 15 work calendar days, similar to teachers, so that they align. So we have those two deadlines of March the 12th as well as March the 21st.
Got it. Any questions?
Oh, and then one additional item is that these are also being issued at the same current amounts, no additional funds, obviously. And then we also have our registered nurse. That was the one I omitted. My apologies.
Got it. Any questions? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
A second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it does pass. Thank you so much, Dr. Woodland.
Thank you.
Next is our recommendation of RFP 2024.01 Award Capital Project Management.
I think we've got one before that.
We have
Oh.
Professional services agreement with AIR, American Institute for Research.
It's not. Maybe it's an updated agenda or something else that I'm.
It's not what it shows up there, yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
What
I'm sorry. I was looking at an old. It was approved in consent.
In the consent,
yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
It
It
must
must have
version
been.
that. Yep.
Thought I had printed off the most recent
Nope.
version. Okay.
You're with it.
All right, I'm with it. Then let's move on to recommendation to RFP, Award Capital Project Management.
Yes.
Colleen.
Very exciting. This is kind of the first action item coming to the board as a result of the tremendous support that we saw from our community and voters in the November election with the passage of our capital override as well as our $100 million bond authorization. And so we issued an RFP for capital project management at the end of December. We had 5 companies express interest, and we had 3 responses to that RFP. The district pulled together an evaluation committee of 4 members, and that recommendation is being brought to you tonight. We feel very confident and excited to recommend that we move forward with H2 Group as our capital project management team for the upcoming bond projects. The representatives from H2 Group are actually here tonight and would like the opportunity to introduce themselves and just say a quick little word about who they are and their eagerness to partner with Osborne.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for allowing us to introduce ourselves.
Governing Board members, Dr. Robert. We're very excited, based on your approval, of course, to get started with the district. And we do have another gentleman that's part of the team that is part of our interview group. His name is John Brakeman. He had a little medical issue last night, and he's actually on medication and he can't drive, but he should be back on his feet tomorrow. And you'll meet him quick enough, and he is our lead project manager for the program. Just a brief history of our firm, so you know who we are. But full disclosure, I'm the old guy, and I can't dance. Certainly not like Clarendon dance. They were good. But we've been in business since 2005. And all of our work essentially is throughout Arizona with K-12 school districts. Although I'm a registered architect, we don't design and we don't build anything. We solely represent owners on their projects, and we've worked throughout the state, as I mentioned, a lot of districts, a lot of bond programs, such as yours as well. So. Anything to add?
No, I will introduce ours by name. I'm Elizabeth Thielen, and this is Paul Hartley.
Sorry.
That's okay. We jumped right in. But yeah, I'm so familiar with your district. I'm a community member, and yes, I actually know you from Snell and Wilner.
Yes,
Yeah.
I thought you looked familiar. Yeah.
We cross each other quickly.
Yeah,
in,
yeah,
lobby
absolutely.
in the same building. But
Yeah.
But I live close to downtown. I'm very familiar with all of the, Melrose, and
Mhm.
also was part of Willow. And
Mhm.
I'm very excited to be working with you. We have a great company. We love to work with the schools. We understand the assignment. We know what an honor it is and privilege
Mhm.
for us to be supporting the schools. We're good stewards with money.
Mhm.
And we just appreciate, the opportunity to be working with you. And we're a great team. We're very collaborative. So John is not here tonight, John Brakeman, but yeah. So we're looking forward to it.
And we know how difficult it is to get these programs passed. So congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. It's a big deal.
It's a huge effort. We understand that. So.
We have a great community here that loves public education, which helps. Any questions? I got just a couple. In terms of timeline, I assume, assuming this passes today, if it passes, next steps is I assume there will be a contract that will outline the specific scope of work and services, and that will come back for approval, I assume. Is that right, Colleen? Or no? Okay.
So typically our vendor contracts don't come to the board level for approval. The board sees IGAs, MOUs,
Yeah.
Those type of agreements. So no, the vendor contract won't come back. Your authorization tonight, your approval of
Okay.
the award, and the terms of the contract were built into that RFP solicitation.
Got it.
So all of that will be wrapped up as part of the terms of the contract. The next steps after board authorization will issue a PO. I did want to point out, you'll notice there in the recommended language for the motion, that this is up to a 5-year award. It'll be brought back annually for the board to approve. So this first authorization is for the first 12 months, but it can be renewed up to a 5-year.
And then once this, I know we're really excited because the public has entrusted us with this money, and it's really important that we take care of that public money. After assuming this passes, what's the next step in terms of using that money to support our district, to support our kids? Is it
Great question. So we're actually kicking off our first, assuming it passes tonight, our first meeting with H2 Group will be this Friday, and we're going to dig into the draft project list that the Capital Needs Committee had come up with last spring and start to really look at grouping and priorities around the first bond issuance, which will be happening this spring at an upcoming meeting here soon. We'll get the board's approval to issue the first chunk of that $100 million. And then from there, this spring, we're going to be looking at procuring architect, right? So then those design services. Then we're going to be looking at procuring our construction manager at risk and going through that process. And part of H2 Group's role in that is to really be that advocacy for us as the owner, and help support us in all of those procurement compliance and those negotiations with those additional vendors and contracts that we're bringing on, and then to really help manage the overall project timelines as well as monetary budget and timelines for all of our projects, so that the goal is similar to our last bond project, is to find savings throughout the life of the bond so that we can put that right back in and get more projects done.
Yep.
So
Great. And then meeting in terms of Friday and other meetings in terms of priorities. It was a really nice process. I know that board member Greenberg was on the committee, and I showed up to a couple too, because I'm really interested, and about prioritizing. So just as I'm sure we already would, keep us apprised, keep us involved, keep the folks boots on the ground, as I'm sure you already would, our principals especially, boots on the ground who really know best as things evolve, needs evolve over time. And so, as I'm sure you already were planning to do, I think that's important that we continue that process.
yes, we will definitely have input throughout the way through all of our different stakeholder groups. And you, as the board, will get very familiar with H2 Group having kind of a standing presentation, similar to what we saw throughout our last bond projects at the governing board meetings monthly of here's where we're at, these projects are upcoming, this is where we're at with things that have already kicked off. So
Cool.
absolutely.
Very good. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Congratulations. We look forward to working with you. Thank you so much.
Hard work now.
Okay, that is end of our action items. Next is our board development. In our discussion of culturally responsive teaching and the brain, chapters 6 and 7.
Was it supposed to be 7 and 8?
Yes.
I'd have to look back at what the minutes were. If so, I did not. I'll be full disclosure. I did not read chapter 7 and I'm sorry. I read chapter 6 and 7.
Okay, I did the same thing, and I was reading chapter 6, and I was like, I swear I already read this.
Yeah. So I read.
I kept like, I wasn't having like a weird sense of deja vu. I was like, my bookmark
I looked
is
back
here.
at the minutes. It is 7 and 8, but we can just do chapter 7 tonight.
Yeah.
8 and 9 to close it out.
Yeah, because we'll close it out next month.
We'll
with
close it
chapters
out next
8
one with
and
8 and 9, and then I'll take recommendations.
I had chapter 6 highlighted. That's how I knew I had already
Yeah,
read it.
yeah. Well,
It's actually probably good because 8 and 9 are its own like part.
yeah.
It's part 3, so we can kind of work together.
Okay. Dr. Robert?
All right, so we're just going to do chapter 7, and you had already done chapter 6, but a lot of that actually feeds right into chapter 7. Is that a lot of the discussion, like that warm demander and setting the tone for the topic was building learning partnerships, and so chapter 7 takes it into the mindset necessary for building that learning partnership. So the guiding question I had for this chapter, of course you're free to expand beyond this, but just asking what are some aspects of board work that you're looking forward to bringing a growth mindset to. If we want to expand the conversation, there was also a really interesting section here about that socio-political impact on academic mindset. I think that was chapter 7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, it is.
thinking about when we think about mindset that our students bring in, given that this book is for for teachers, starting off, we can think of their mindset as something that students bring in, but the socio-cultural impact, impact on academic mindset keeps in mind that schools in and of themselves can create. It's not just the student that comes in with a mindset, but schools can in fact create conditions that would impact a student's having a closed mindset. So, first thing, what are things that we can do to assure that we're not, what are some things that you may do as a board that impact this socio-political impact on the academic mindset? But then other items that are up and coming in the future, or just kind of standing items that we discuss that you're looking forward to maybe addressing from, with a growth mindset moving forward. Or however you choose to tackle this chapter.
Board
'cause
Member
it's-
Ford.
In this chapter, the one thing that particularly stood out to me was the talk of negativity bias. And I think that's something I didn't realize until I actually read it in printed words was this, and I highlighted it, so I'm going to read it. Unfortunately, the brain has what is called a negativity bias, meaning it remembers and responds to negative experiences up to 3 times more than positive experiences. And I guess I never realized how much a negative connotation had or a negative experience had until I kind of sat down and thought of myself and how I replay the things I say or the things I do in my brain. And, a lot of those stick with me much more than the positive things. And I guess it's not just specific to me, but to everybody. So just as educators and as people in the community, just making sure that we're giving positive interactions to our students, that we're lifting them up and that we're encouraging them to have that growth mindset, because the negative comes and it stays. And so we want our students and our staff and our teachers and everybody within our Osborne community, parents, to have those positive experiences.
To piggyback on that, I think that just our relationship that we have with each other here on the board, like even with tough conversations that we have to have sometimes, we always stay rooted in positivity, which is something that I appreciate because I feel that it really does trickle down, towards our, district office, and then from the district office to our principals, and then to the teachers, and then to the students, which is, that's what we're all here for to see the student outcomes. And so I really appreciate whenever people ask me like, how's board life going? I'm like, it's great. I absolutely love my board. It's a very different experience than when as a teacher I attend the board meetings for the school district that I work for. You can see that there is a lack of respect there from board members towards each other. And it's saddening to me because this is, the big feeder district that so many of our smaller school districts, go to. And so I think that the negativity bias, like, although I've always known that, I mean, you can have a million great things happen and one bad thing happens, is that's the one that you will always remember. But I appreciate that we don't let that permeate into our relationship and how we see things here for our school district. So, and then going down further into the other explanations of the microaggressions and how they show up in schools, I think that one of the things that I hear a lot in our community that I advocate when I talk to random baristas that tell me, oh yeah, Ed was in here earlier and we were talking about you. And I'm like, oh, what school is your child at? And so we talk about, and when I'm advocating about, send your kids to Osborne, just because of, we see the diversity, and I would hope that we, obviously micro assaults or micro insults or micro invalidations don't happen, because we have such a diverse community here, within everyone, our staff as well as our students and as well as our board.
Absolutely.
I really loved the the lesson idea that they had in here, and I think of in my current position, I'm not currently in a classroom, but I'm more so supporting the teachers that I work with. But there's an idea in here, and they're talking about poetry and thinking about how for a student of color, how their culture or their group of people may be perceived in the media or in literature or something like that, and how can you reframe that? One of the examples they use is that girls are not good at math. That's kind of like the stereotype. And how do you change that? Like, think about, maybe you're really good at math, or other girls in your class that are good at math, and like writing a new story. And I think sometimes we try to do this too. Like, you're at the gym and something's really hard, so you visualize, like, what does that look like? Like, you might be doing the couch to 5K and you're at the very beginning, but you're visualizing yourself running like that half marathon, or even just like your 5K or something like that. So you're using that power of visualization and rewriting that narrative. And I think for our kids, helping them gain those skills to think about something differently. Like right now, this is where you might be at with something, but they also gave the example of you only got 5 out of 9 of your problems correct on your test, but before that you got 3 out of 9. So thinking of that as like growth, and really helping kids to see, like, yeah, 5 out of 9 isn't perfect, but it's a lot. It's a big step in the right direction from where you were at with this concept. So I just love kind of helping our kids rethink about those things.
Board Member Peralta, anything to add?
I think I'm going back to when we talk about the negativity bias and everything, and it brings back to something we talked about today, which is discipline. And I just hope that us as a board, and I think we do it well already, but I think we can always improve. When we're talking about discipline, is that we do our best to avoid those things, to avoid microaggressions, micro insults, anything like that, because when we have those discussions as a board, that will funnel down to our schools. And that does set a specific tone, and I really hope that we can continue. I mean, like I said, we do good well right now. We can do better, so we can continue to look at our data disaggregated, and instead of looking at it through the lens of these, just look at it as what can we do to help our kids. So that's the big part I got out from that one. Just kind of rethinking how we look at discipline in that way, shape, or form.
Yep. I agree, and I think with a lot of what was said already, that it trickles down, I think was a comment that was made. What we do here, how we treat each other, how we treat our superintendent, how we treat our staff, how we treat our principals, and I think we always try to strive to do that in a respectful, professional way. Not that we pull any, don't ask hard questions or don't explore things and don't try to move things in a positive direction through change, but do it in a professional, respectful, and I hopefully culturally responsive way, and at least aware way. I really got a lot out of this when talking about the same thing with the negativity bias, and also the microaggressions, and how it can be hard, especially during these the tough days of the semester, to come in with a with a happy face on. And it made me reflect on how all the schools in our district now, when I come to visit, they always have such a wonderful start to the day. When our principals get on there and and say these, kind of inspirational, wonderful things, or it might be a joke from Mr. Martin, or something that puts us folks in a positive mood and headspace. And then I reflect on how we try to do that here as a board too. I mean, there's a reason we put our celebrations up front, and then we're spending the time to celebrate people. I was talking to one of my a friend who had in a district that I will not name, that they're asking, how long do your meetings last? And I was like, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. Oh my gosh, that's way too long. You spend time doing celebrations? What? You got to get in, you get out, and and I'm like, no, that's the best part is getting to see the kids and getting to see our staff and our teachers, and the wonderful things they do, and to celebrate those things. And that's important that we start our meetings that way. So I'm just very thankful that we have that tradition, and really thankful that we keep that tradition, because it does trickle down, and it puts me, hopefully, I think, in a better headspace to make the hard decisions and that we do in every meeting. Anything? Go ahead.
Yeah, I like to add, so leaving the negativity mindsets, there was a section called Reframing Mistakes as Information. It says, as part of building a culture of self-assessment and feedback, we have to help students see errors and mistakes as information to help them improve the outcome next time around. And so reframing that into the work that we do as a board is a little bit of what you said, Board Member Peralta. We take the data and really at the end of the day, like, we make our decisions, or I hope that we all make our decisions based on the student outcomes that we want to see from the data. And so when I read that, it reminded me of just the work that we do. Because we want to make sure that we're making these decisions based on what the student outcomes we want to see for all of our schools.
Okay. With that, just to be really clear, the next chapters we're reading are the last chapters, which would be
Finishing it out.
8 and 9.
9.
8 and 9. And then think about, and feel free to email me directly or email Dr. Robert. I know we had a list kind of going before of potential next books. If you've got thoughts, ideas, let me know, and we want to keep this moving. Okay. With that, reflection/feedback on today's meeting. As always, I start with Board Member Ford and work my way down.
Thank you. My reflection tonight is about contracts. As a teacher, I have my contracts sitting in my inbox. And I always feel very nervous about signing a teaching contract. This will be my 14th contract I'll sign. And when you sign a teaching contract, you're giving the next year of your life to your school district. And I think that's something that is so noble and so brave of all of the men and women who work for our school district, who choose to do. So with contracts coming, I want to say thank you to everybody who has worked in our schools over the past year, and thank you to everybody who is going to continue to serve in the following year. I know that for me, I always get a little bit nervous about signing a contract, but I just love working with kids. And so thank you to those of you who are going to be signing your contract, and we'll love to see you next year. I want to send great wishes to Dr. Woodland in your endeavor to hire any positions we need filled over the next several months. Dr. Woodland's done a fantastic job with so many creative hiring events. I read about the Phoenix College event and all of her other creative avenues for hiring. So thank you for bringing the best to us for our students. And then the last thing is just about Prop 123. Board Member Peralta and I were at the Capitol yesterday, just getting awareness out and asking our legislators to consider not only raising pay for teachers in the renewal of Prop 123, but also considering our classified staff. Without classified staff, our schools do not run. Without our attendance clerks and our cafeteria staff and our health techs and our instructional assistants and all of the other wonderful people, bus drivers, crossing guards, without those people, our schools don't function. And as a teacher, I know how important those positions are to our campuses. And so I just want to encourage our legislature to come to the table and approve raises for our classified staff. I'd hate to see Prop 123 go to the ballot without those considerations for the hardworking people in not only our school district here in Osborne, but for districts all around Arizona. Thank you.
Board Member Ramos.
Awesome. I just want to say thank you to Clarendon. Seeing the dance team and hearing from the attendance clerk, just the hard work that she's done and put into it was really amazing. And then when she was listing off the things of, wonderful things that the students get from being part of it, there was one that was missing that was super important for me, and is that it helps them build confidence. And so I know as a teenager, my mom put me in a Mexican folkloric troupe, and I was extremely shy. I was a very different person back then. and it's just wonderful to be able to see those opportunities, and the fact that, I mean, the phrase "it takes a village" really came to mind. The fact that it's the attendance clerk, the first person they see that is involved in it, like, blew my mind, just because I don't ever hear the classified staff being involved in that manner. So I think it just shows just the amazing school culture that we have at all of our schools. So thank you so much for showing us that.
Board Member Greenberg.
All right. I'm excited to read the next two chapters of this book. I think, you know, as we have gone through it and really reflected on our own practices, I would love to work with the board and Dr. Robert on how we can maybe work on getting some constructive feedback from our community, from our staff, just to kind of see, you know, I think while we're sitting up here, you know, we feel good, and I think, you know, I feel very confident that we're making decisions, you know, in the best interest of kids. But, you know, it would be really good to get some more feedback, constructive feedback from you all, just to help us move forward and make sure that we continue to be student focused.
Board Member Peralta.
I want to echo everything that's already been stated. Special shout out to where I'm at, Clarendon. I forgot how to say that word for a second. This is why I need to teach English again so I can remember how to speak. But I also really want to give props to Dr. Robert for handling the questions, because I know if I were in charge of handling those questions, I would definitely be in the news. The words I would use would not be the best, so to say. But seriously, you're taking a half hour a day, which should be spent on other things. I know it's only a half hour, but still, that's a half hour to answer these questions that make absolutely no sense are being asked. So I'm props to you on that one for handling it so well. It is Lent season, so I understand why. But outside that, I think I'm looking at everything we've done today, from the contracts to new partnerships to Ed's humorous way of asking about Phoenix Union. So it was a big meeting. Doesn't feel too long yet, knock on wood, but yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Thanks, Board Member Peralta. I appreciate that. I love seeing Clarendon. I love seeing the dancers, and I just love after-school programs. I think they're so important for our kids, for our community. It's what keeps our kids there. What keeps them engaged. It's for a lot of our kids, it's the thing they look forward to the most every day, and to have that enrichment, the after-school programs, the additional things that we do is just so important for our kids, and I love seeing it. Another reflection is with issuing our contracts and other parts of the agenda is, we really try hard on this board, I believe, to treat our teachers and staff as the professionals that they are. We really try hard to pay them like the professionals our teachers and staff are. And we don't always get it right, but it is a value that we have. And it is a value that I personally have, and that I want to continue to work at to get it right and do the best we can. And Osborne School District, to treat our teachers and staff as the professionals that we value and that they are. And it's one of my goals is that, when people ask our teachers and staff about Osborne, is that they say, look, it's the best I've ever been treated. I feel respected and treated like the professional that I am. And that we get this wonderful reputation. I think we're there. I think we're on our way there. I think we're doing a lot of good things, but I think we have room for improvement too. But I want that reputation to just be out there in all of Phoenix and all of the state, to say Osborne's a place you go because you are the most respected, the most valued of any district that's out there. So look forward to continuing to working on that. And that's my final reflection. Dr. Robert.
Yep, 3 quick things. Number one, probably one of the most important things that we did tonight was issuing contracts. And so, as Board Member Ford said, and wishing well and congratulating everyone that's about to make that decision to come back, we're excited to begin that process. Second process, we went out, we spent a lot of time working towards working with our community to approve bond, a $100 million bond. Now it's time to get the work going. So welcome to Osborne. And 75% approval. Like that's what you're working with here is a community that is ready for this and anxious to get going. So welcome, and I think it's going to be a great process. And the final thing, the joy that we get out of our celebrations, and I'm glad that we take the time and don't skimp on that part of the meeting, if anything at all. Leadership matters. As you saw Jeff up there talking about Clarendon, did you notice that he was like smiling and laughing the whole time and just enjoying who he gets to work with every day? That's fantastic. So, Jeff, it was wonderful to see those kids, and I think they've, starting with the joke of the day, all the way through seeing how you smile and interact and treat everyone that you work with. It comes through in the way they're able to express themselves too, because it's a place where you feel comfortable and loved.
Can I just add
Yeah.
to that? I actually talked to a parent yesterday who met with Mr. Martin and said that he was the nicest principal that they've ever met. So, kudos.
I believe it. I
Yeah.
believe it. Okay, we are going to move into executive session.
Future agenda
I'm sorry,
items.
future agenda items. And any future agenda items, Board Member Ford?
Nothing for me.
Okay, Board Member Ramos.
I think it's been brought up before, but just it hurt a little to approve contracts without a raise. So I think it would be great if we could set up, hopefully in the near future, a committee or something to build out a salary schedule. I know that is something in regards to retention that can keep teachers on board, knowing that they are going to jump one more step every year. So I would really like us to look into that.
Got it. Board Member Greenberg.
I would second that and would love it to go through meet and confer. I was just wondering, I see from the previous future agenda items, the concerns with Encanto's pick up and drop off. I see here that we're monitoring the situation. Is there any feedback or any updates on that?
I can provide it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if that should be like a future, but
Mm-hmm.
I just would like a little bit more clarity on that piece.
Board Member Peralta.
Nothing at the moment.
Got it. And nothing for me either. Okay, we will move into executive session. We'll just give it a few minutes for people to filter out, and then we'll go into executive session. Okay, thank you guys. Everybody have a great night.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, what?
Okay.